All right, welcome everybody. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. It is 1/7/21 at 10:52 a.m. Central Time. Wanted to put out a message to everybody. We have seen some interesting things take shape here in the last 24 hours. Clearly, Pence was not trustworthy, and we were saying that prior to this event taking place. So now there is speculation that POTUS has EXFIL'd from the White House and that he is in Abilene, Texas, which is Dyess Air Force Base. And so we're going to take a look at that information, what information I have gathered so far. I want to show you guys a couple things. One, I want to point out some videos that took place yesterday. I want to show you the timelines. I want to show you just some observations that I have that will, I think, indicate that he probably has vacated DC. So that said, we're going to take a look at the air traffic right now. So over the United States, CONUS, we've got 218 aircraft up, and as you'll notice, a lot of big birds up. This central Texas part right here across the middle, those are all for the most part trainers. Now there are some mixed up things in there. There are AWACS sentries, and so you'll see this one right here. That is basically that's a flying air traffic control. But notice right here, there is a cluster. This is out over the Abilene area, this section. We're going to drill down to that here in a minute, but I want to show you some of this stuff. We've got a lot of air refuelers. We have some R-135, which that is a battlefield, airborne battlefield command center, basically, and surveillance. So that thing can track everything from traffic to vehicles to troops to tank movements to all kinds of stuff. It's a pretty spectacular aircraft, but that is airborne. And let's see, we got C-135, more tankers. I mean, we've got a lot of tankers up, which tells me we got a lot of fighters up. Now, I will tell you, these trainers do not have air refueling capability. These are like T-38s and T-37s, which are Tweety birds with the propeller. They don't do air refueling. So also, we've got an aircraft. Well, it was squawking a second ago. A little BE-40 that was squawking. That yellow squawk tells me there was a in-flight emergency. So, but I don't see it anymore, so it has gone away. Interesting. All right. Without further ado, let's just take a look. We're going to drill down now into the Abilene, Texas area. And so for those not familiar with this, so what do we have here? We've got some BE-40s, 3 BE-40s, a tanker, a C-130J, another air refueler. That looks to be, let me just double check. Yeah, air refueler. So what does that tell you when you've got 5 air refuelers in the same area? I don't know. To me, that tells you got a lot of fighters up in this general area, I would imagine. So now, one of the things, you know, if you guys remember, I was talking about a military op taking place this first week. We haven't seen that yet. I would say that our chances now are fairly high as to that taking place, and that should probably commence if I were a betting man, because my sources are pretty good. So the fact that it didn't kick off on the 1st or the 31st, you know, it seems like we are primed for that now. So if there's anything that was going to take place, I think this is probably now. So, all right. So that said, we got a B-52. Looks like that is over the Nashville area in general. Another tanker, C-17. So we've got quite a bit. Now this, if you look over DC, looks to be a total cluster right now. We'll take just a drill down over here. Couple C-130s, more air refuelers. That C-2, little Greyhound, another C-2. Interesting, couple H-60s. So traffic's definitely up. I wouldn't say it's at the average number, but it certainly looks very, very healthy today. So more tankers, more C-130s over Florida. So all right, so let's just go into some of the data points from yesterday. Okay, one, I want to tell you that if POTUS is out here in West Texas, then I was looking for the nuke sniffer to come from Vegas out over here. And the reason I say that is because they are going to be wanting to watch that area very closely, and I imagine they want to eliminate any threats. If you remember yesterday, we were going through a couple things, and I'm going to see if I can't pull up some of the data points. But this area yesterday had several AWACS aircraft up. We had RC or R135s, which is your command presence aircraft for watching the terrain, and like I just explained a minute ago. But it's kind of a battlefield assessment aircraft. So very interesting that it seemed like they were just clearing this area, making sure there weren't any threats before POTUS were to exfil. Now, that said, let's take a look quickly at this. Is your sniffer bird, okay? And I want to show you, this is the helo, all right? So let's just quick shot for those that are just jumping in. This is a sniffer bird. It has the ability, it basically does air quality checks for basically nuclear fallout. It probably does biological, chemical, nuclear sniffs. So that is what I'm talking about. This is not the Joe Biden military Marine One, but this is the nuclear sniffer, which is N411D. Okay. All right, so let's check this out. So now this thing is taken off. It left Nellis Air Force Base, went to Winslow, Arizona, and I know you guys all have a song in your head now. And so now it has gone from Winslow. It went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and right now it is again eastbound. It has left Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's been in the air for about 34 minutes, and if I had to speculate, I would say this aircraft is probably headed somewhere. Well, let's see. It may end up coming in here into the Dias area, but let's see what happens. I want to see where it goes, because that is going to be really key as to where the threat levels are. When that thing starts moving out from Vegas eastbound, that tells me that they are either, now they could go to the East Coast and start looking for threats, but let's watch where that one goes. I think that's going to be key. All right. Now, Night 76, that is your that's Night Watch, okay? And that plane we watched take off yesterday morning and do some funky stuff following the 757 presidential birds, and then it returned to base back at ADW, which is Camp Springs, Maryland, right? And so now it left yesterday evening at 4:49 p.m. and it went to Abilene, Texas, where it is currently sitting. All right, so it landed 16 hours ago. Now the speculation is that aircraft was POTUS on board. Now, I will tell you that in a threat situation, POTUS will get on to Night Watch. All right, that's the reason it follows him around. That's why when he's off doing his tours and his speaking, that plane will be hovering around. It looks just like Air Force One, but it's got some additional capabilities and is basically an airborne command center for POTUS. So if you wanted him to be in control of everything, and that's basically, you probably load that up with your Joint Chiefs and be airborne. And going to Dias is for you guys not familiar with Dias Air Force Base, it's out here in West Texas. This is Dallas-Fort Worth area, okay? And if you drill down, this is really, there's nothing out here. Now, there are B-1s and B-2s at Dias Air Force Base, okay? It is a large runway. They put B-52s do touch and goes. Actually used to be a B-52 base a long time ago, SAC base, okay? But this is also the National Command Center. So him being out here is probably pretty secure, pretty solid, not a bad place to be. And so it is plausible. I think Lynn Wood mentioned that he was out here, and I got to tell you, if anybody knew, it would probably be Lynn. So the fact that he has said that, there's probably a lot of truth to that. Okay. All right. So back to our air traffic. So we're going to go back now. We're looking at the Abilene side. All right. I'm going to go down a little bit, and we're going to keep our eye on this area. I'm going to let that marinate for a minute, but I want to go over and show you guys a couple things. All right. So one, let's talk about yesterday. All right. So POTUS was on the podium. I think he got there around 11 a.m. and he started doing his talk. Now I want you to notice a couple things. All right. One, besides all the gold tassels on the flags that people point out, bulletproof glass. All right. But notice he's got a pretty heavy coat on and gloves. All right. Because it was cold. in DC. All right, very loud, very cold. Okay, now I want to point out the next thing. Here he is around the time this posted yesterday afternoon, probably around the time he was on the move, if I had to guess, going to Night Watch. And so as he was being exfilled, they were playing this as if he was in the Rose Garden, talking to everybody, telling them to go home. They came and did what they needed to do. My guess is that he doesn't want anybody else in DC because of what's about to go down. Okay, that's just me. I may be wrong, but I may be crazy. But anyway, let's see. But I want you to notice one thing on this is that he's not wearing that coat. Okay, that is just a suit jacket, red tie, and notice how green and lush. You can see actually the spring buds on the hedge behind him, nicely trimmed. Okay, this video right here was taken at a different time and point, and if anything, I noticed there is a green hue around the shoulders of his video. So that would indicate to me that we're probably looking at a green screen of some sort. Okay, and based on how quiet it was, and I bring this up because I asked Doug. Danger Doug yesterday was out doing reporting for us, and he was the one that was eyes on the ground, looking at what was going on, pointing out the fact that some of these people did not look like MAGA supporters and that they were antagonists. He got up close into the mix of these guys so he could take pictures of the stuff that was going on, right? And so he did, for a guy that is not a natural reporter, he did an amazing job at getting us information and boots on the ground. So it was very nice, put his life at risk for us to go do that. So I'm very thankful for his help in that. So that said, he said it was so noisy and there was sirens constantly. There was airplanes flying over and there was all kinds of noise. Now, if you watch that video that Trump did, we go to this video and I'm going to enlarge it, pop it up on the screen here. I want to show you.
From us. It was a landslide election and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace.
All right, so you notice how quiet it is.
So go home.
Right?
We love you. You're very special.
Very, very quiet. Okay? Nothing. You can hear a little bit of road noise, like a highway, but there's really nothing that stands out that says, hey, this is this was in DC yesterday, right? Because it was so quiet. There's just not the probability of that really being in DC yesterday, given what was going on. No sirens, no jet traffic, nothing. It looks to me like that was a green screen set up behind him. Texas was not too cold yesterday. So if he was out doing that, it was overcast in Texas yesterday, which that looks to be overcast. And so I just looking at the lighting, looking at the frame shots, looking at the green hue on his shoulders, I would say that was not filmed in the Rose Garden yesterday. Okay. So just a data point, but something to think about. All right. Also notice he wasn't wearing a jacket. Okay. So that is a pretty good indicator that, because it was cold yesterday, as Doug was telling us. I mean, it was very cold yesterday. So President isn't going to come out, take off his jacket and get out there and shoot a video when it's that freezing out. Okay, it just doesn't add up. So is he out here in Texas? I would say the probability is probably very high. I would say that DC is probably not safe. The swamp is probably fully loaded right now, and I would imagine if we were going to see a mill-op take place, that this would be the time for it to happen. So stay frosty out there, folks. That is pretty much all I've got at the moment. I will come back on. I'm going to look at some other things, but I just wanted to answer the mail on the probability of POTUS being where he is, okay? And I think it's pretty high just based on what I was watching, observing. All right, folks, so that's pretty much it. This evening at 7 p.m., we're going to be doing our monkey business. We've got Danger Doug joining us, Scott McKay, and Hotel 3, and we're going to be talking more about all of this and activities that are going on and what our thoughts are as we go forward. So, all right, you guys be safe. God bless. Monkey out.